Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and in this video I wanted to go ahead and let you see the whole sea from MISC that is now available in-game in 3.20. This is the middle size of the whole lineup of ships. I say middle size being that specific lineup of ships that has some exponential growth of cargo. While I haven't confirmed this in game yet, I do believe that this is supposed to carry upwards of 4,000 SEU of cargo, which is a significant increase over any other ship that we've really had in game to this point. The ship itself is interesting because when it is in its collapsed mode, it doesn't necessarily look like it is that large of a ship. But when you start to kind of spin it around and get some scale, you can see the size of the pilot and how much ship that's left behind it, and there is a whole lot there to it. The external design of the ship looks good. On the radar, it's funny. It kind of looks like the Austin Powers scene where you start talking about, like, that's a Johnson. But you can understand why it has the design, especially as it opens up and you start getting a better feel for how the ship actually looks. You can see this middle point right here in the ship. There's kind of two different sectors there. I'll do the animation in a moment to open this. I will also let you know that in this video, my keyboard is dying, so my F key, which I've apparently beat the hell out of, is tapping multiple times, so you may notice some funny interaction mode issues while I'm dealing with this. Back of the ship, from an engine perspective, you have 6. You're starting to get into Star Destroyer territory, which is pretty cool looking with some of the stereotypical design elements from MISC. You have 2 turrets on top, one at the fore and one at the aft, meaning that you obviously have a pretty large blind area on the rear and the back, so another reason why hiring escorts will be important. You have a couple different EVA locations on the side. You can see over here underneath the back turret, there's a door. There's an airlock on this side as well. And then this side, there really isn't anything that I have found yet. And I will show you later, there is an elevator that comes out the bottom of the ship to allow for ground access should you actually land. So with that in mind, I guess last note here too is you do have a couple of guns on the front that are pilot controlled. I wouldn't expect to be doing a lot of dogfighting or significant damage with a whole sea, but there is something there for your control. Inside the cockpit, the look is, it's fine. It's very similar to a lot of other hull ships. It kind of looks like a smaller Starfarer, though you kind of have the normal dashboard that you get used to seeing overall. You do have a lot of actual physicalized buttons when it comes to using the interaction modes, if that's your thing. But the ones that I want to really showcase are specifically over here with the one in the middle that will allow you to extend your cargo spindle. So we'll open that and then come watch the animation. First thing you'll note is that sheath kind of retracts into the rear. There's a tunnel that extends backwards into the ship. And then from there, as you have more open space, you get the animations of the arms that are actually folding out and then opening up with the magnetic holds to be able to secure your cargo to. It's surprisingly elegant. It's very well animated, and I was impressed in how they actually were able to bring that to life. That was a nice touch. The animation to send the grid back into the hull of the ship, you just retract it, and it will basically reverse the animation. So starting with the gravity locks or the magnetic locks closing down, they then slide into position and fold as the ship then begins to collapse upon itself. So overall, really well done, pretty interesting. I think they did a nice job. The design on ships continues to improve. So let's take you through the inside of the ship so you can start to see what amenities and features are available. So first, as we come back, you'll notice you have some component access on here. So you've got your radar over here. Over here, you'll actually have your computer. Those doors are interactable. Captain's seat for anybody that wants to sit in the middle. Maybe one of the less used seats in the game. The co-pilot chair over here is where you will actually start engaging with your remote turrets. So on this switch over here, I believe to the right. There we go. You have remote turret 1, remote turret 2. One of those will take you into the front of the ship. The other one will take you to the back, and it operates like any other remote turret that you would, expect to see. All right. Don't need to spend a lot of time on that. So let's go ahead and get up and start moving back in the ship. Right here's basically your center line down the ship. This will take you to everywhere that you want to go with a few ups and downs in there. Off to the right here, which is on the port side of the ship, you have your elevator that will EVA you down out of the ship. You also have a docking control or kind of an airlock over here. So because of that, you have your spacesuit holding here. It's labeled as pilot, engineer, navigator. That's kind of fun. I don't know that any of that is necessary by any means. But then you also have a weapons locker in here, which I like in case you're going to be taking on some missions that take you into hostile areas, or this being a cargo vessel and piracy becoming more and more real, having weapons on board to protect yourself in the case of soft death or potentially people coming on board to try and steal your ship and your goods is going to be pretty critical. Gravity generator on board in here as well. And then as you get to the other side of the ship, you'll notice there is a ladder that'll take you up to the HABs. We can look at that in a minute. Over here on the starboard side of the ship, you have your escape pods. So you have 4 of them built in. Again, they're labeled captain, pilot, navigator, engineer. If you only have 4 people, I don't know that you actually need to, do anything significant with it, but they are labeled for your liking. Again, more components in here, some, nonsense, just, visually appealing stuff as well. Moving back into the engineering area of the ship, what you're going to have is the tunnel that will take you to the back. The tunnel right now, since the ship is consolidated, it's closed, is a relatively short tunnel run to get to the back. We can go and open that up if we want to, and you can see how that'll lead into the rear. I do want to showcase something though, so as we walk back, you can see how this is almost like corrugated. If you're familiar with those buses that kind of have like 2 chunks of buses that are all combined in one middle section that has this rubberized type of material in the middle, I will show you in just a second that these will all expand as the ship actually opens up its cargo grid. So we're gonna open the cargo grid and then run like mad to get back there to try and show you how that animates in the middle of things working. So let's run. See how it's expanding and sliding out? That's because the ship is literally becoming longer as all of these pieces move. So very cool dynamic nature, and now you can see how the walkway is extended, and this becomes a much longer run to the back of the ship as compared to when it's actually consolidated and closed into a normal flying mode when you have no cargo on board. Really well done, nice animation. I think CIG did a fantastic job with that. So now we continue into the back of the ship. Before we run back to the front of the ship, we're now in the engineering area. You can see you have some pretty cool engine or, I don't know, it says coolant line down there. It's basically visually appealing. It kind of looks like a power plant, but you have power plants elsewhere. So I think these are some rule of cool assets. You come back in here, you've got your ladder that will take you up. You can see it'll take you up to deck 2. You also have the elevator that's available right here. So we will go ahead and go for a quick elevator ride. Oh, there it is. One will take you up to the airlock up top. We can go ahead and take the full ride to the top. Up here, there's really not a lot going on. You have this area where you are able to basically take the airlock outside of the ship.
Could you try it?
My watch decided it wanted to chime in for some reason. There is also a spacesuit storage here, so in case somebody needs to actually EVA and leave the ship, you could do so in a spacesuit and have availability to it without having to run to the front of the ship. So let's go ahead and call our elevator, which is there waiting for us. And then we will go down to component access, which, I hate to spoil it, is essentially access to your components. I know that's going to be a shocker. In here, you'll have some of your larger components. So, for example, your cooler component bay, and this is a big ship, so you have large components in here. And basically, you just have a bank of them, right? You've got your shield generator there, you've got your jump drive, you've got power plant, you've got another cooler. So everything is basically consolidated back here. That is your bigger kind of engine-related type of components. The smaller computer stuff seems to be more centralized towards the front of the ship. There is also an escape option back here with another component being a battery component bay. So with that, let's go back to the front of the ship. Oh, let's not drop a frag grenade in here. And we will, actually, let's just go down the ladder. Let's go back to the front of the ship. I'll show you the habitation area and the crew quarters and everything. and then we'll go from there. So we got to hoof it back. Overall, what's coming next on my channel with the Hull C, I need to get in and actually try and run some cargo hauling. I do want to make sure that everybody understands that where the game is right now, it isn't necessarily supporting a cargo ship on this scale with the economy that we have in place. So it is worth noting that while, yes, you can indeed come in and do cargo missions with a Hull C, the idea of really doing large-scale, massive missions and having big payouts and all of that is going to be a little bit out of the scope of what we have. So you just need to give it a little bit of time to be prepared, okay? This right here is a really cool section on the ship. It's called your cargo ops. This is going to be where you are actually leveraging things like tractor beams and coordinating the arrival of the cargo to get loaded to your ship. What you'll see here, if I can get interaction mode to actually cooperate with me, is that you have 4 different remote turrets. These are going to be your tractors that allow you to take cargo that's been dropped off and place them to where you want them to be on your actual cargo grid. And this is how you're going to actually be loading things up. You have 4 different locations that you are able to do this from, which is very handy. And will also be how you coordinate everything that you are doing on the ship. I think last thing to show is going to be the crew quarters, which is on the other side of this top deck. In here, you have a pretty standard area. You've got your little kitchenette. You've got some storage for food and goods. You've got a table for everybody to eat. You do have a little bit of a outlook, but it's really kind of a blast door, and it's kind of very shielded, and you can't really see anything out of it. But you do have 4 bunks. Over here, you have the bathroom, which is obviously you got some personal storage, which does work. Which would be where you could actually store, personal items, through the interaction system. In here, you have your normal toilet setup. You've got your sink, toilet, shower, and towels. Yeah, the important items in here. So that is pretty much the Hull C. It is a interesting ship that provides some actual, value in the game. I think, again, it's a good foundational step to get this piece built because it will eventually allow us to do bigger and better things with cargo on a scale that we haven't really seen before, meaning that the gameplay will change over time as far as how we do things. So the Hull C will probably not be your day-to-day commodities trader. The Hull C will probably end up being your, I'm hauling between systems, or I'm going from Tressler to Seraphim to Everest, and I'm doing big cargo loops where I'm trading in volume versus the high value commodities. And again, I'm taking missions where I'm not necessarily having to pay out of pocket to get the job done. So hopefully that's been helpful. This has been your first look at the Hull C. Again, there will be more content with this coming soon as far as trading, and we can start talking about viability at that point. If you have questions on any of this, please let me know. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and take care.